Hello and welcome to Inside Leominster. My name is Dean Mazzarola, Mayor for the city. And yes, we're live tonight as we are each and every Thursday. And just to let you know, we will be traveling back out into the community, such as we did before. We spent some time out in the community, and now we're going to get back out there. It seems to be what people like, and everywhere I went over the holidays, people are asking, so, you know, how come you don't do those shows anymore out in the community and go visit places? And we're like, yeah, you know what? We really like to get back out there. We're going to do that. And so what we may do is sort of do a couple of live shows during the month, and then a couple of shows that we could still do live during the day, but they would in fact be, maybe be reshown during this regular spot at 6:30 on a Thursday night. So we might do 2 or 3 shows inside the studio, and the next 2 or 3 might be out. But we'll get a chance to talk more about that. But most importantly, as the drone looks down over that quiet neighborhood in the deep north of Leominster, we go to the art report.
Good afternoon, sir.
Did you see that sunset tonight?
No, I did not. I'm down in my cave.
It might have been one of the best.
That's too bad. I enjoyed that stuff. But I did see you this morning at 7:15.
You did.
Backing out of Mom's house. Yes,
yeah.
I did.
Hey, I love the mornings. You know that?
I'm up at 4:30, 4:45, 4:45.
But
I got in a habit from golf, and I never broke out of it. But I was on my way to the car wash on Route 12, and that's about it for that. But I'll tell you what. That inauguration was a great time, packed house.
Mm-hmm.
I thought I was at a staff meeting at Digital. And Mr. Montrum was there, and it was great. Larry Walpe come up from Framingham.
That's
My
right.
daughter works for him
That's right.
at his school. She works there, and my grandson goes there.
Yeah. Did you get to say hi to him?
No, I didn't.
Oh.
We were going to. But he had to leave a little early. We turned to look, he was gone.
Yeah, he had to go. I mean, he had school the next day. He had some other obligations with his kids.
And Joe Malone?
Joe Malone drove 2 hours to come out and be with us. And then, so I called him on the way out later, and I said, Joe, you had a 2-hour ride. Don't worry about it. He said, I had to leave, and I could. Because he knew if he stayed, he'd end up yapping all night long. So I had my mother in the.
Funny.
Yeah.
When he came in, and I looked over there, and I go, I know that face.
Yeah.
I said to Rita, is that a weatherman from TV? She says, I don't think so. I said, he looks familiar.
Yeah, Joe
Wait,
Malone.
is that Gino Capoletti? And I'm going down a list of people. Then it dawned on me, wait a minute. That's Joe Malone, the state treasurer.
You know who he was good friends with is, what's the guy's name that was the coach out there, basketball coach out at UMass, and then he went pro and...
Patino?
Patino, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was good friends with him. Really
That's
good
cool.
friends with him. Yeah,
That's
good
cool.
guy. What a good guy.
But it was well run.
Yep. No. Bang, bang,
It
bang.
was great. You got some great-looking grandchildren.
Mm-hmm.
It was just a festive, really feel-good night,
It's
you know?
all about, is to celebrate teamwork, celebrate the community. We've come so far, and we've had little hiccups like everybody else along the way, and things happen, but it's about being prepared, having the right team together, and having the community behind you so that you can get these things done. Or otherwise...
There's no question about it that we do not need, I repeat, we do not need the attitude that unfortunately our country is so divided right now. And what's getting done? Nothing.
Right.
And that's what happens. And if that was industry, it'd all be fired. So I'm so glad to see the unity and all the wonderful things that are happening in our city. And those aren't happening by mistake, ladies and gentlemen.
No,
it starts at the top and it filters down and it keeps going, and that's what we're doing, and it's wonderful.
We're working hard. Like I said, we got a team of people that are just won't say no to anything. You ask them to do something, how crazy it might seem, and they're like, oh no, we're just resting up from the last crazy thing you had us on. But you know what? And things that I can't even imagine that they can pull off, and they pull it off. It's amazing.
Yeah.
There's a lot of talent, a lot
Yeah.
of talent. And, you know, municipal employees sometimes get a bad rap, but I'll tell you, and millennials, we've hired all good people. We've been really fortunate.
Yeah, and you know, and it's sad that we lost a icon of, you're always going to see him downtown, Joe Casey.
Yeah. We
You
lost.
know, walking real fast, slow, hanging around football games, and he was just a likable gentleman. And
That's the guy. Ben Feeney, we lost Ben Feeney this week. He was, he's my age, Ben Feeney.
yes, I saw that.
Yeah.
Yes.
And Joe Case, that's two
Yep.
in 2 days. And yeah, no, a lot of stories about Joe, a lot of stories about Ben. Ben was a brilliant guy, just a real smart guy in school. And,
Yeah.
you know, just sad to you know, see this happen.
And
But
it's a name synonymous with shoe repair.
that's right. Yeah.
I mean, who didn't go to Feeney to have something done on your shoes?
Yeah. He's quite a business guy.
That's a wonderful thing about Leominster, is that as the tradition goes on, the names, you know, they like Leominster High football, the names carry on and on and on
Right.
and on, like Palazzi, and you know, it just keeps going.
Right.
And that's a strong foundation that keeps the city whatever it is now. You know, you need that.
I was saying to Peter Bovenzi one day, I said, you know, when we were younger, it was people like Ben Feeney and Clarence Daniels and Larry Porter. You know, it was a group downtown that owned property and were real estate people in the chamber that was downtown at the time. And I said, and I always wondered, the next generation, who would be those people who kind of carried it on? And then I said, it's us. You know, they handed the
That's
baton
right.
without knowing they were handed the baton. They were wondering who was going to.
That's
And
right.
Yet now we
And,
have a
you
group
know,
of people
And
downtown.
who didn't buy a pair of shoes from Susan Cashman's dad
Right, right.
down at Student Brothers or wherever? You know, it just carries on.
Yep. No,
Who was I talking? I was talking to someone. Oh, I was getting a haircut. And the gal that was cutting my hair, we got to talking, and she says, well, I was at the Leominster Public Library the other day. And she says, you know, that is the most fabulous jewel, and every nickel that was spent building that addition was well worth it. She says, I'm in there all the time because she likes to read. And she says, if anyone hasn't gone there, they owe it to themselves because they're missing out on a lot.
right.
And
Nope.
she's right.
Good stuff.
Yep. Well, listen, I'll let you go.
Just remember, the days are
Hope to
getting
talk to you
longer.
next week.
The days are getting longer.
Oh, I know. You know what that means, don't you?
Golf.
That's right. I'm
For
looking
you,
at
not
about
me.
12 clubs right now.
Not for you, not for me, but you.
Oh, you can
Which-
say that again.
I leave that sport to the pros.
5 days a week.
Good for you.
All right, buddy.
Okay, over and out.
And have a good year.
Thank you. We're off to a good
All right.
roll. We're off to a roll. Very,
Okay.
very stealth-like. We're very focused this year. Met with a
Yep.
number of the department heads the other day. We're ready to go.
Good.
Every move is calculated and strategic. So,
Positive kick in the butt.
That's it.
All right.
All right.
Bye-bye.
You're watching Inside Leominster. My name is Dean Mazzarola, Mayor for the city, and our phone number's right there. If you can't see it, it's 978-537-7760. And we dial extension 3, and you can ask any question you like, make any comment you'd like. And here's where we'll be for the next 40 minutes or so. Going to take a short break, and then we'll be back with John Casey, and we'll be talking about the 100th anniversary of the American Legion. Be right back. There we are, the Leominster Colonial Band, and how fortunate we are to have Leominster Colonial Band, Montezuma Chorale, all of those different chorus groups that we have from the schools. And we're just really fortunate. We're really, really lucky. And I guess sometimes you have to step outside the city to sort of realize how fortunate we are to have all of these things. Coming up in 2019, we're going to be putting together our master plan, and we'll talk a little bit about that later in the show. The master plan is simply a blueprint or a roadmap to the city's future and getting input from the community. So talk a little bit more about that. But first, let's go to a well-dressed, sharp-looking, totally pressed John Casey to speak about the 100th year anniversary of the American Legion. John, thanks for coming on.
Yeah, thanks you.
You look sharp tonight, John.
Yeah, thank you.
You got your best show out here tonight. You're all pleated in all the right places. You look good.
Yeah, thank you. The 100-year anniversary, it's March 16th, will be exactly 100 years that the American Legion's been around. That's the reason why we're going to have our the 100-year anniversary sponsored by the Post 151.
Right.
And it'll be held at the Elks. Everyone's invited. It's $20. It takes care of the meal and entertainment.
$20.
Yeah.
That's all?
We try to keep it as low as
Let's
possible.
raise the price tonight. $20.
But,
That's cheap.
We are looking for donations. If anyone wants to send out donations for raffle prizes or help with the costs, we'll take the donations.
All right. So a company might be out there, or somebody says, you know what, I'd like to donate something for the raffle. And that could be just going out and buying $20 worth of the megabucks or scratch tickets.
Yes.
Or it could be a business that donates a gift basket or a particular item.
Yes, it could be anything.
Anything.
Yeah, because what we're trying to do is try to make it family friendly, because American Legion family
Right.
that takes care of the Sons of the American Legions,
Right.
the Women Auxiliary, and also the American Legion. And we'll have these posters put up everywhere, pretty soon. And one of the things we'll have is a raffle, and we're trying to get their 100-year anniversary mint coins that's coming out this month sometime.
Wow.
And that'll be a raffle prize.
13,000 posts worldwide, 2 million or more in membership. The posts are organized into 55 different departments, one for each of the 50 states, along with the District of Columbia, Puerto Rico, France, Mexico, and the Philippines. And boy, what an organization, the American Legion. I'm impressed at the meetings that you have and all of the help that you're able to provide veterans, families,
Yes.
and community.
The reason why I joined this post, actually I transferred to this post, is because of it's very active. Leominster is very great with the veterans, and they've been supporting us in a lot of ways.
Right.
So that's why I had a choice to go from Fitchburg or Leominster. I got a call from the post commander from the Fitchburg and the adjutant from Leominster. I didn't know what to expect because I never went to a meeting.
Sure.
Then when I went to the meeting, now look where I'm at. Right. I'm the commander of the American Legion.
And so, just in case somebody doesn't know, maybe they're new in town, or maybe they're just retiring, they'd like to get involved. Where do you have your meetings and when?
Meetings are at the American Legion, the Veterans Center in
Right.
Leominster. It's on Monday night, the third Monday of each month at 7 o'clock. And we used to do it only 10 months out of the year, but now we do it 12
Yeah,
months
you're
out of the
busy.
year.
Yeah.
Because it's too much catch up by the time you get to
Right.
March.
Oh, the big guys are busy.
And we do have refreshments over there. It's 6:30 we have refreshments. It's usually pizza and so forth.
Wow.
And
That's awesome.
what we are looking for is a lot of young members. One that's just getting out of Iraq or
Right, right.
Afghanistan. It's hard to get.
I know. Well, they're busy.
Yeah.
They work different shifts. They got young kids, maybe.
Yes.
Maybe started a family later on,
Yeah.
and so as like anything else, I think sometimes you think, what's going to happen? Is somebody going to take this over? And then suddenly, you get some people that are involved and they take it over,
And
right?
some think that you have to go to the meetings, but we have about only 25% that go to the meetings.
Right.
So it's a good percentage compared to Plymouth when they have over 800 members and they only get 50 people going to the meetings.
Right.
Yeah, so-
Exactly. So it's a well organized and you do good things, and that's the whole purpose of it. Is when you need people, maybe it's only 20 people at the meeting, but when you need people, they show up. Right?
Yes.
And speaking of that, before I don't want to sort of move on without forgetting the work that you do down at the Bedford VA. We had a couple pictures here last week, and you were in one of them. And you're like the king down there. Everybody knows who you are, and you walk around. I can't figure. Now I don't know how many times I've been there, but I cannot figure my way around. But you go down and volunteer. How many hours do you have there?
I have over almost 2,800 hours right now in the last 4 years.
100 hours of going down and donating your time and helping out and visiting all the vets, right?
Yes.
Keeping them so they don't think that anybody forgot them.
Yeah, let them know that when you come over there, I think you've been there 7 times already to visit the Leominster veterans, and not just the ones from Leominster that appreciate it, is all veterans that do, because when they see you there, they know that the politician cares.
Right. No, listen, we can't let them think that because their families maybe can't care for them. Maybe they just can't anymore. But that's a good place for them, and they get well taken care of. It's a very busy place. I mean, there's always something going on.
It was at first, when I first started, it was a little tough because you see people with missing limbs and affected by Agent Orange and so forth. But once you get to know the guys, they just want to live their lives.
Yeah.
The ones that participate is the ones that enjoy it. The one that doesn't, they don't like it.
It's hard. You know, they want to be home or they don't want to be there, and they kind of fight it rather than like, hey, let me find some people who have the same interest as me, and we can kind of chat and have some fun and make the best of it. And a lot of them just love it there. I mean, some of them are just like like at a resort area, but what a place! And we were there last time, and we found that they have a greenhouse, which we didn't know about. And so we're going to try to set up lunch there with our veterans down there. And so, but thank you, because you organized the whole thing. You meet me there. I could never forget. We go from building to building, from 1 to 2 to 3 to the second to third floor to outside. It's like a college campus, and I appreciate you kind of leading me around. We go to the commissary. We go all over the place when we're there.
And right now I'm working on that greenhouse. Right now they said that might not happen, but if it doesn't happen, where would you want it? And I said, well, we could have it up on the floor.
Place. Sure.
Yeah, so right now I'm working on that.
Good.
So,
and you always do. I never have to worry about you kind of coming through. You always show up. This is the time. Here's the date. Here's where I'm going to meet you. So let's talk some more about the American Legion. It was passed and chartered by the Congress in 1919. And again, this is the 100th year, and it's a lot to celebrate.
Yeah.
So it's a chance to bring all our veterans from the American Legion together in March. And a chance to pull everybody together. Maybe some people haven't been so active, but they get a chance to come out and sort of celebrate. And then also think about, what about the next 5 or 10 years of the American Legion?
and you just have to think 2 more years, and the alum's supposed to be 100 years.
Imagine that, huh?
Yeah, and
that's incredible.
It's very unusual to have a post that lasts 100 years, but there are a few of them that's in Massachusetts.
Really, huh?
Yeah.
That's so neat. And it's people like you that keep it running.
Yeah.
And the members that show up. And so talk about some of the things that you do for families and community.
Okay, one of the things is we are a sponsor of the Boy Scouts, Boy Scout troop, as well as the crew. We also sponsor the American Legion Baseball, which they actually did pretty good last year. I think they lost 2 games.
Yeah, no, they did very well. Good baseball.
Yeah, real good baseball. And then we also send 6 boys to Boy State. We give out a couple scholarships for the students at Leominster High.
Yeah.
We visit. We have what we call a KID program. It says keep in touch. So we try to keep in touch with all our veterans, and that's how I started to volunteer.
Visiting them at hospitals or nursing homes.
Well, I was up there to. I had a doctor's appointment. I went to visit one of the patients that I knew that was from Leominster. He was somewhere else, and this guy said, "Well, we could always use volunteers." That's where it all started.
Exactly, right.
And I said, yeah, that's a good idea, so I can keep in touch with the Leominster veterans that go up there. And right now, as far as I know, we have 3. There's one guy from Fitchburg that's 102 years old.
Wow.
Yeah, so, some of them, there's like 3 people up there over 100 years old.
Incredible.
Yeah.
And if anybody's interested and they want to reach out, is there a phone number or somehow they should call City Hall or the Veterans Office up here?
Yeah. Well, if they want to reach out at Bedford and they want to help out, they can contact Bedford.
Right, they have a whole office there for volunteers.
Yeah, there's a volunteer service. That's what I work through.
Right.
And I play cribbage. I do bingo. I do parties. I escort their patients different places. I take care of the front desk. But these not all the same day, but different days.
Right. And we were there. There were a group of guys listening to old radio shows. They were listening to Gunsmoke, which prompted us to have a big conversation about Fibber McGee and Molly and Gildersleeve and Gunsmoke, and we had a little side conversation with what was going on. So that's the kind of stuff they were really excited. They were singing.
Yeah. And one time you were up there when they had that miniature horse.
I remember. I'm like, wait a minute. Did you see, John? There's a horse outside. Then we brought the fire truck up for Felice Gabrielli because he was a lieutenant in the fire department. So we took the ladder truck from Leominster and brought it up.
Yeah. And Mark Moore and his brother works for the Leominster Fire Department, but he never lived in Fitchburg.
That's right.
Oh, I mean, Leominster, I should say.
Yeah.
And well, when I brought him down there, he kept on thanking me. He never thanked me since I've been there. That's the first time he thanked me, probably about 4 or 5 times.
That's good.
Because he knows that I know that his brother worked for the Leominster Fire Department.
Right. And you can also reach out to the Veterans Office if you're looking to volunteer or join the Legion, and they will definitely hook you up with all the right phone numbers. But let's give the date again. It's March.
It's March 16th. It's to be held at the Elks. And so it'll be at 6 o'clock. That's when we start the refreshments, and then we'll have a keynote speaker, which she's a historian or was past historian for the state. And then we, have raffles and the entertainment and so forth.
Right.
And we do also have the tickets. If anyone wants a ticket, they can contact me. My number is 978-728-1384, or they can just send a letter with a check right to the American Legions. That's at 100 West Street, Leominster, Mass.
100 West Street?
Yeah.
100 years, right? That's how you remember it, right?
And it's post 151.
Yeah, that's awesome. Thank you so much. Anything else we missed?
I think we got everything.
I'm hungry just thinking about the food.
Yeah.
I don't, but that's just in a couple. Hey, it's just in a couple of months.
Yeah.
So get those tickets. Think about buying a table. Think about how you can make a donation, even if you're not coming and you want to make a donation. This is a big thing to celebrate. This is a very active American Legion. Unfortunately, there are some American Legions that can't find enough members to continue to function, and they're not as active as this Legion. And here they are, and they want to celebrate it. And you know what? We should honor them by helping out in any way possible. So if you work somewhere that might be able to make a donation, if you work somewhere where maybe they can donate something that's a raffle. It could be you work at a restaurant, you want to give a gift certificate. Maybe you just go out to your favorite restaurant and buy a gift certificate for $25, $50. And it just makes it so much more fun, and hopefully raise some money out of this, right? And we have a good time.
Yeah, the thing that I see that was the most important thing in this, I have a whole booklet on all the things that happened for the 100 years. The American Legion was the ones that got the standard for the American flag.
Right.
The way we present that flag and so forth.
Right. It was
and that's that right there is a lot of history.
Sure
right there.
is.
I think
Sure
it was
is.
1912.
Wow, incredible! What history.
Yeah.
Well, thank you, John. Good to see you. We'll see you soon.
Yeah.
We're going to take a short break, and then we're coming back. And, a lot more to talk about in the beginning. Our first official show of 2019. Can you imagine that?
Wow.
The 100th anniversary of the American Legion, 1 year shy of the year 2020.
Yeah.
Imagine that. We're going to be alive for 2020.
Yeah.
How exciting. Taking a short break. Coming right back.
Hello, welcome. I have a project that I've been working on. Right this way. Follow me. Right now, you're probably wondering who I am and exactly what kind of a contraption I'm sitting in. I'll identify myself for now as just a traveler, and I'm sitting in a time machine. I know, it sounds a bit like Steven Spielberg, but let me back up and explain my story. My regular day job is uninteresting, and in my spare time, I'm kind of a jack of all trades.
Jack of all trades, the time machine. Did you hear what he said? Let me back up a minute. Because when you're in the time machine, Alan, you could back up, right? So Bradley's here tonight, and Ron is here on the camera, just took a break. And in the control room is Jeff and Alan, and it's a good crew tonight. The chemistry is good back there. Look at them all, lined up, making sure that this show goes through the airways in the manner that it should. We also go out over Facebook, and we also do streaming across the world. And if you're somewhere else other than Leominster tonight, and you're in a far, far place, and you want to call and let us know that you're watching, all you have to do is call and say, I'm watching. That's it. I'll ask you where you're watching from, and that'll be, because we're always interested in, where people are watching from. In any event, let's see. Let's talk a little bit about the master plan. So the master plan for the city is nothing more than sort of a business plan, but it's more of a municipal master plan. We call it sort of the term that they use in the world of planning. But in the past, we used a growth management plan to help control the growth. When there were, I mentioned it in the inauguration the other night, in the 80s and early 90s, there were hundreds of homes and condos being built. You drive up Pleasant Street, and old farmland was now developed into homes. Not that it's a bad thing. It just happened. It happened at a record pace, and that's the part that begins to take its toll on schools that were overcrowded. I mean, there are dozens and dozens of articles in the newspaper as we were going through them the other night about the fact that there was just the schools were bursting at the seams, and it's no plans in place to sort of take care of that, and just because it was happening so quickly. So now we get to the point where we've taken all of our plans, our recreation plans, open space plans, and we look at those, our school building plans, and we pull them out, and it's check, 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 check. We've done those things. And now it's an opportunity for us to go out into the community, the business community, to the community at large, and get a pulse from them as to, okay, so the city's going to move forward. We're doing well. Here's a snapshot of the city. The downtown is pretty full. It's almost to the point where it's 95% occupancy. Industrial parks are full. The old mill buildings are full. And so what are the issues, or what are the areas and goals that we ought to be sort of looking towards? And so we'll ask questions like, should we continue to buy open space? Should we, would you like more outdoor recreation? Would you like more indoor recreational programs? We've got plenty of schools in the city, and many nights they lie dormant. On the weekends, certainly, we have basketball or some programs, but these buildings are sitting there. We pay for the electricity, we pay for the heat. Are there programs you'd like to see us run inside of those school buildings? City buildings is really what they are. And so we'll ask questions like that. We'll ask about downtown. Do you want us to invest in downtown? We've done as much as we could with private money, grants, as well as some city money. Downtown, it's come along, but we may reach that point where we're like, you know what, we need some significant funds. So do we start a program that's a private-public match? Do we get businesses downtown and property owners to sort of help to leverage some other public money and really bring downtown to the next level? Are there festivals that maybe need to be re-energized? Are there things that we maybe, certain festivals or things that we offer in the city that maybe we ought to pull back on, and then maybe introduce some new ones, right? Maybe we need Sauce Fest 2019, where we bring in all the different sauces from the Italian and regular restaurants in the city. I don't know, I was just kicking that out there. Maybe have Alan, you ready for this? Maybe have a prosciutto fest. Or maybe we have a baklava fest. Or there's so many different things that we can do. And we'll be looking for input in those areas as to how we could do a better job. Where do we bring the city Clearly, we'll be talking about a lot of the traffic issues that we talked about. Senator Tran, one of his key issues has been Route 2. And we'll be meeting with the legislative delegation as well as our Senate delegation along the corridor of Route 2. If you come from the Gardner, Athol, Greenfield area, 5:30 in the morning, it is amazing. 5 o'clock, quarter past 5 in the morning, 4:30 in the morning. You will not believe how many vehicles are out there and how many people are commuting east. And we'll talk about that because there needs to be major improvements to not only the rail, and there have been substantial improvements to the rail, but now we need more trains going back and forth at more times of day, and we need some major improvements to Route 2. Now, is that to say that we're going to spend $1 billion on Route 2 right away? No, but there are some short-term things that could be done. Clearly, there's accidents all the time. Minimal. There's still a few at 70. But we still have a number of accidents, even with the improvements down around that exit where the state police barracks are. We still have accidents at Route 70, but not as many. But when you get up around Devens and Route 110, 111, those are the areas that we see significant, and Shirley Road too, I'm sorry, where we see a significant amount of accidents where people are supposed to be merging in the morning, but end up accelerating as they come out onto the highway. And there's no room to stop. We're moving too quick, and things like that. Solar glare. There's few things that you can do about solar glare, but there are things that you can do about expansion of the roadways and acceleration, deceleration lanes, and making it more safe as people enter and exit those roads that I just talked about. So that's something what we'll be working on with Senator Tran and our delegation here, our state representative, as well as other state reps and senators along the Route 2 corridor as we work our way. And as I'm sure you've noticed, people drive till they qualify. So if you leave Boston, people feel they're getting pushed out. It's too expensive. They drive until they qualify. You can't afford to live in Arlington or Lincoln or Carlisle. You push away a little more, and you can't afford to live in Concord or Lexington. You push away a little bit more to places like Maynard and Acton, and if you can't afford there, you push away a little bit more into places like Littleton and Air, and if you can't afford there in Harvard, you push away into places like Lancaster and Leominster, Fitchburg, Gardner, Westminster, Athol, and you just keep driving until you qualify. Which means that there's more of a population that are living west but working east. And think of how many people live in the Leominster, Fitchburg area, and even that Gardner, Athol area that commute into Worcester or Waltham or places like Framingham or Bellingham and Franklin and all of those places. Just think about that. And so anyway, those are some of the things that we'll be working on. Really looking towards the future of the city and getting your feedback as to exactly what you'd like to see us do. Do we have enough affordable housing in the area? Would you like to see a little bit more building? Would you like to see a development of high-end, and I say high-end, tiny houses or smaller houses that are smaller than the conventional home, but have more open space and trails that connect to other trails? Would you like to see that? So there's so many things that we can talk about. Sky's the limit. I can't bring you the ocean. That'll never happen. I can bring you salt water in a cup or a bowl or a gallon jug, but I can't bring you the ocean. But everything else is possible. We live in a really beautiful part of the country, in the city, in the state, and we have more open space than probably anywhere. When you leave Boston and go east, there's nobody that has recreational areas and open space like we do, and trails. And so anyway, that's what we're up to for 2019. We'll be putting a number of surveys out. We'll be going to the senior centers, schools, around the community. We'll be putting them up on Facebook and Twitter and anywhere, this show, anywhere we can get a chance to talk to you and ask you questions and get some feedback, that's where we'll be going. Hey, whenever you guys are ready, let's do some pictures of the week.
You got it.
Here we go. And there we are at our inauguration. This is, proud to say, our 25th year. Couldn't happen without the public's support and the voters' support. Couldn't happen. We've done a lot of things in the city, but if you don't get the public support, you're not around to to move to the next level, right? And you really need to support, whether it's creating a stabilization account or how you use your free cash or the direction you move the city. So you need that sort of approval, as well as good, hardworking, creative, dedicated city employees and a good business environment. In order to do that, you have to really have a good sense of, have a good climate here for business, and really create that business-friendly, not just say it, but actually live it and actually deliver on it. So there we are. We'll go to the next. There's Larry Wolpe. We started this show inside Leominster. There's Larry and I. He's now a principal. He did a number of gigs in, I said Rochester, New York, but I think he was somewhere else. Anyway, he went off to do a show called Good Morning El Paso, and then did some, worked as an anchor for a guy on the street kind of thing for Channel 4 and 56 and a bunch of those channels, and then found his true passion, which was education, and now he has his own family and is the principal down there in Framingham. Next slide, please. There we are. There's Mark Bedanza receiving the Jimmy Lanciani Award, and that is an award we created last year as Jimmy Lanciani retired, and this is the first year, and we look for those qualities in a person that Jimmy certainly portrays and has made part of his life and part of his reputation, and that is he's a calm guy, gets excited and passionate about the city, loves the city, talks a lot about the history of the city, is a person that can disagree with you but get up and be a best friend as you walk away. And so those are all the qualities that Jimmy has, and those are the qualities that Mark Bedanza has. And so we were very, very, very pleased. And I think based on the feedback on Facebook, people agree with me that Mark was a very good choice. And there is our Lieutenant Governor. And I was so happy to have her come. You know, Central Mass gal, hard worker, a couple kids, just, you know, was a state legislator. I think she was a select person in Shrewsbury, knows Leominsters, here all the time. I can't tell you, I lost count how many times. So we've come up with the slogan, and we've given her the nickname of 351. And there's her hat. It's because she has been to every city and town in Massachusetts, not once, but in some cases twice, and in our case, selfishly, I will tell you, dozens of times. So anyway, thank you to Lieutenant Governor Polito for your leadership, and as well as the governor. But this night we were very happy to be able to present her with that designation as Lieutenant Governor 351. Next slide, please. There is Senator Dean Tran presenting a proclamation for our 25 years of service. And as I said that day, the best city council. You could not ask for better support. We work, you know, we disagreed, no question about it. But you know what? We do it in a fun way, almost in a kidding way sometimes. But we really work closely together. We are close, but we have respect for each other. But we also know that sometimes we have different opinions on things. It's okay. It's absolutely okay. We joke about it, we leave, and we leave as friends. And so thank you to the Senator for the proclamation. And there we are. We've got to, you know, we never take pictures in the city. We never do that. And there's the city council with our legislator, the city council, myself, the president of the city council, state senator, and as well as our state rep and the sheriff. And it was a really good picture. I think everybody was happy to get that picture. We're all pretty excited about getting that photo. We're just not really good at taking photos of us sometimes. So anyway, one for the historic books on the 25th. And there are a rare glimpse. You very seldom see pictures posted or in public of my grandkids, but there's Jameson on the left. He was the guy 6 years ago. I brought up to the microphone. He was chewing on his shoe. He had a shoe in his mouth, and I took a lot of heat for that because everybody said, yeah, just like your grandfather, he was always putting his foot in his mouth. And there's a little Donovan there on the right-hand side. They're both characters. They're both beautiful kids. And most of all, they have wonderful, wonderful parents. Could not have found better parents for these two kids. So anyway, we were able to help them in this historic moment here in our historic town. Joe Malone. Joe Malone was the treasurer, later ran for governor, and he was a good friend of Leominster. Again, a guy that spent a lot of time here. He was big on student literacy. He really emphasized the fact that all of us, as adults, but our youth, needed to get a handle on just a budgeting and how we spend our money. But Joe Malone did some really wonderful things. There were a number of loan programs that went through his office, and I'll tell you, he always put Leominster first on the list. And he drove 2 hours to be out here, and he was the first speaker in my first inauguration 25 years ago, and a surprise visit from Joe Malone. And there we are at Roger Brooks' retirement party. Roger Brooks started with us 25 years ago as the business manager for the city, for our water and sewer department. And while I think us at the DPW, myself, we all like to take the city council, we all like to take a little bit of credit for the improvements in the system. We've basically, done the whole system, the whole water and sewer system over. And but it was really this guy. Roger is the kingpin. He was the main person here, the glue, the duct tape, everything to get us funding and work with Wendy Weeks to get the funding and grants. But this was the guy. He knows every size water line in the city. He knows everything about the infrastructure. He doesn't estimate anything. He doesn't guess. He just gives you exacts. And the guy's got a mind that's just absolutely incredible. It's amazing. There's no, he's a computer on foot. And just amazing guy. He's a good friend and done wonderful things. We begged him to stay on and work just a couple of days a week in his retirement. He agreed to do so. But this is one of those situations when you say it's going to be hard to fill his shoes. And we have a lot of good people, but I think everybody's in agreement. It's going to be hard to fill his shoes. So I'll tell you, on a Saturday night, pouring rain, dreary, cold, raw, Roger Brooks filled the place at the Elks. And they got a whole table of people from DEP. And, that doesn't happen often. A real tribute to Roger Brooks. So, yes. Let me just touch on a couple other things, and then we're going to go to some other photos. A couple of things that are happening in February coming up. If you were not, full house the other night at the Merrimack Valley Bell Ringers at Pilgrim Church. Full house. Just what a nice night. Really, just such a special night. It was their 14th or 15th time performing, and it just gets better and better. They change the music around. What talent. I tried doing the bells here a couple of times and wasn't very good at it. Takes a lot of practice, but just a wonderful night. I think everybody left very, very, very happy and really ended the holiday season. So it gets busy during the holiday season. This was a chance to sort of go back a little in time with the time machine and say, holidays aren't over yet. Let's celebrate them one last time, and we did, and it was great. So in February coming up is Groundhog Day with Featherstone. We don't do Groundhog Day, we do Featherstone Day, right? We put the flamingo out there. That's February 1st at 8 o'clock. The Leominster Restaurant Week is the February 17th to the 23rd. That's on a Sunday, I guess, this year. Is that possible? The Indoor Drive-In Movie is going to be February 20th. Once Upon a Time, when we transfer City Hall Auditorium into a castle. Yes, we are going to mention Joe Casey's GoFund site. And then in March is the Leominster Student Art Show. The Pizza Crawl is March 10th. The 17th is Kate Chadsbourne Irish Music Concert at Leominster Library. And the list just goes on and on. You could go to our website and find out what a lot of these events are, because there's just a ton of them. We got them all listed all the way up to September for the Johnny Appleseed Festival. So if you're a good planner and you want to set some time aside, this is the place to go. So they have set up a GoFund site. And you go to gofund.com, and this is to support Joe Casey. For you that know Joe Casey, for us that knew Joe Casey, some from back to the days of Crosman Ave, we called it the Project, all the way to Lancaster Street School, to Mayor Gallagher Junior High, to the high school, to Leominster High School football, sports. Joe delivered for Monty's and a number of the restaurants downtown. Joe would give you the big yell and a toot. Joe would always be out there sticking his thumb out. He could be walking 50 feet, and he'd be sticking his thumb out to get a ride. And I can't tell you how many people he's probably gotten rides from over the years. But Joe always lived at home. His brother-in-law and his family took care of him. And it got to the point where it just required, he needed more care and better care. And he ended up in an environment where they could provide more and better care for him. And he continued to get visits from his family right along and his friends. I saw Joe out in the community for a number of times. Good conversations with Joe. Joe was Joe. But he took a little turn for the worst in the last couple of weeks, and then was on life support, and a decision to end that life support. And that's and knowing Joe, that absolutely, Joe would want to be remembered for the way Joe was, whether it was at the projects in Crosman Ave, or at Lancaster Street School, wherever Joe was. I know that's the way he wanted to remember. So they've set up a GoFund site for a memorial bench that would be placed at Doyle Field, and there's the information right there. So whatever you think you can spare, go ahead. They're up to, I think, over $2,000. They're trying to raise $5,000. I know it's only been up a couple days, and $2,145 of a goal of $5,000. And you can remain anonymous if you'd like, but you know what? You can donate $5, 50, 10, 500, whatever it might be. But yeah, the memories of Joe will go on and on and on. I was just at a table at a function last week where we were talking about Joe, and I think I went on probably for an hour telling stories about Joe, and I probably could have went all night, right? Really. Just a classic, a real legend and an icon for Leominster. So our prayers go out and thoughts go out with Joe's family and Joe. But Joe, it's going to be a long time before the name Joe Casey comes up and nobody doesn't recognize it. It's going to be a couple hundred years because his legacy will go on. So let's see. Let me just check here because there are all kinds of messages coming in, and I want to make sure I get them. Ruth, are you watching tonight? I'm not sure. Took care of that. What's happening down at where? I'm trying to see exactly where they're asking about. Oh, so if you're down at Johnny Appleseed Plaza, that is across from 40s. So that's where Cutie Patooties is. So Central Cup opened up. There's going to be a new business opening up next door. And then I believe Edward Jones is going to take the next third space. So all of those spaces are filling up. And there's a meat market that's going to be going in. We're going to be doing the grand opening very soon. Let me see if I can find it on the schedule here. I hate to do this to you and give you some dead air space, but it's coming up very, very soon. Like the grand opening is next Wednesday, which is my brother Marco's birthday, the 16th at 11 a.m., Big Mania Meat Market. So anyway, that's all coming up. And so what's happening in town is space is really getting full. Our biggest and busiest part of planning department right now is the area of economic development. It has just been a busy, busy few years, and I talked about it a little bit at the inaugural address, the state of the city, where I think people thought it was the mom and pops were done, the downtown was done, downtown would never come back, and it in fact is back, and it's back strong, and it's coming stronger, and more financial institutions are moving in, more banks. And I know sometimes people say, another bank, another pizza store. Well, the reality is a bank is something that signifies prosperity. Banks don't locate in places where there aren't, where there isn't prosperity, meaning small business, large, medium-sized business. If you don't have that, you won't see banks setting up. Yet banks and financial institutions, financial advisors are locating here in record number. And it's really having an impact on the downtown. So the second and third floors of the downtowns, which remained empty for quite some time, are just about full. Vacancy rate is low. The retail space, again, vacancy rate is very low, and that's all good for the city. And we'll be doing a show just on, did you know about some of the downtown businesses and who they are and what they do? And I think you'll be pleasantly surprised. February 1st at Leominster High School, Crocodile River Music, an exciting celebration of music's African roots. Please join us for an exciting interactive performance. Student artwork will be on display February 1st, 6:30 at the Leominster High School Auditorium. Families are invited to bring a dish from their home culture. Families who wish to share food with one another should plan to arrive at 5:30. Please bring the name of the dish, the country where it is popular, and whether it contains dairy or nuts. This is all sponsored by the Mass Cultural Commission. The event is free and open to the public. It is made possible through a Star Residency grant from the Mass Cultural Council. Leominster Recreation, if you know somebody, I'm trying to give people, we're become very good planners, but that means we start talking about summer when it's winter. And we're talking about summer right now because college kids and high school students, it's only a couple of months before they begin their recess, especially for college kids. Anyway, we're beginning to fill positions for the summer recreation department. We hire almost 100 people for these programs. So we need pool staff, adult instructors for programs, youth activities, other seasonal staff, gardeners, summer seasonal flowers and gardeners, summer park maintenance workers. Applications available at the Parks Department, 534-7529. You can go to leominster-ma.gov and click on Leominster Recreation Department, and they will tell you more about what's happening. So, yes, plenty going on. Okay, I don't want to get in trouble here, and I'm instructed to go ahead and show some more photos. Let's go, guys, whenever you're ready. This project never, I started seeing heavy equipment coming off the truck a week and a half ago. And I'm thinking, is this project really this big? And, I know it's big, but boy, this is some big equipment. Then I realize this is a big project. It's put into 3 phases. And this is what started off. This was the original location, I believe, of Garapi's, in that area where Garapi's was first located, furniture. This is also the area where Aubuchon Hardware began. Did you know that, Alan? You live right down the street there on... Did you know what? You lived on Walker Street. Did you know that this is where Garapi's was?
Yes, I actually used to stand there during the parades.
And did you also know that Aubuchon Hardware started here?
No.
Okay.
I didn't know that. That must have been pre-50s.
Do you remember Mrs. Nimes?
No.
Okay.
Fermani's.
Okay, Fermani's Market. Okay, that's on the...
And the lumber yard.
And Weber Lumber, was it?
And the monument.
And the monument.
Nice.
What was his name? Baragalini. Was that his name?
Yeah. and
Baragalini.
selling tires.
Recaps. They used to
Yeah,
sell recaps. Was that his name? Somebody call me and tell me whether the guy that had, was it Leominster Monument or something monument on Mechanic Street? They used to sell gravestones. And I think
it was Leominster
Leominster Monument, and I thought his last name was sporty. It was like Baragalini or Bartelli or something. If anybody knows,
Italian.
somebody knows, call 978-537-7760, extension 3. Please, I want to know. I will go out of my mind if I can't find this answer to this question. Anyway, so we started out, we ripped down a building that we had a lot of drug problems with, and et cetera, and then we backfilled it, and then we put a little park there, a little tot lot with some water features, and you know what? It's really been the only recreation since the days of Whitney Field. How's that, Alan? Did you ever attend or go and play and swim at Whitney Field? Because you're not anybody unless you did. You're not really French Hill unless you did.
No, we weren't French. We were the Italian part.
Okay, I went to Whitney Field. Okay, I swam there. I went to the pavilion. I walked the 100 steps. Okay,
I never even knew about the steps until high school.
Well, you were privileged. So anyway, let's go to the next slide, please. There we go. That's after the rehab, because we did do it over, and we had to do some rehab there, put new fabric down, added on a little bit so we could add some space to put a little pavilion. Next slide, please. There's the 3rd Street grand opening, and I'll tell you, the first one that we did, we had Mr. Charpentier there. It was named after him, and I'll tell you how exciting. And you know what? This guy lived to excite and make special things happen and put that little magic in kids, and boy, it sure did it. And again, since the days of the old Spruce Street School and the old Whitney Field, it's been decades that kids have had any place to play other than the street. Next slide, please. So here we go. This is Mr. Wamet. He was, I believe, a Harvard graduate and an attorney. in Leominster, did a lot of probate. He was just a brilliant man. Served on a number of boards that were, like banks and different civic organizations. And so we were able to get a grant to purchase the house and tear it down. Next slide, please. Then look at this from the other side. This is from Spruce Street. This is 2 blocks down. We purchased this house, tore it down, and it is also hopefully going to be the site of a community center. There is the Spanish Center has outgrown their space. It is a center that we hope to build where we can allow to share space with the Boys and Girls Club, other fraternal organizations, the YMCA, the Spanish American Center, the school department, the city, everybody. So anyway, that building was down. Let's go to the next slide, please. And then we went and installed new sidewalks in that area in anticipation of new pavement and new sidewalks in anticipation of a more walkable community and people walking to the parks and the tot lots. Let's go to the next slide. And might you remember, there were times when people wouldn't drive Mechanic Street. You couldn't rent an apartment on Mechanic Street. They would hang up on you if you said 3rd Street. Nobody wanted to travel that area. The old French Canadian woman who lived on those in that neighborhood wouldn't walk to church anymore. I remember fielding those calls. I remember as a police officer fielding those calls. Let's go to the next slide. There was the new sidewalks. We added even more sidewalks in front of where the park area is. We truly want to make this city a walkable community, 8,000 linear feet of not just blacktop sidewalks with maybe cheap curbing, granite curbing, and concrete sidewalks. Believe me, they will last. Next slide, please. Now we go to the second phase of the project, which is the construction part, and this is where they brought in some heavy equipment. They fenced it in. They're doing what we call cut and fill right now, getting to the right grade, and that is coming along really well. I'll tell you, that's got more oohs and ahs than ever anticipated. In fact, even myself, I'm like, wow, this is really going to be nice. Went back with Wendy Weeks tonight and said, Wendy, let me take another look at this. This is really going to be a nice park for everybody, not just the people on French Hill. Next slide, please. This is looking at it from Laurel Street, which next year will get a nice fresh coat of paint and sidewalks. Next slide, please. There's the overall plan. So there'll be a pavilion in there. I'm sorry, a little bit of an atrium and some walkways. Police and fire will be able to get in there. Some walkways that are in there. There'll be some all-purpose fields where kids can play. Well lit, cameras in there, benches, flowers. Species of trees. We're even going to donate a flagpole. This is really going to be exciting. Let's see a before and after picture, please. There we are. On the left is before. On the right is what the park is going to look like. And I know plenty of people saying, oh, it's going to get vandalized. And nah, it's not going to happen. Not under our watch. Phase 1 of the project was a grant for $365,000 from the state, some from the city, total of $523,000. Phase 2 is a grant almost $600,000. The phase 3 of this project is $570,000. Brings you to a $1.7 million for all these projects. It'll be completed by May, and phase 2 by the spring of 2020. And yes, that kind of money invested in it'll remain cared for and protected. We're out of time here at Inside Leominster. Thank you to the whole crew. Peace and love to all of you out there. Good night. God bless you. Remember, the world is run by those who show up. You need to show up. Good night.